Hey everybody, this is Fago Franklin III with New Stitch Media. I'm here with actor, producer, and director Jeff Torres. First and foremost, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing all right, man. Just staying alive. You know how it is.
I completely understand. So we're going to just jump right into it. But before we go into your directing journey, how have you adapted since the pandemic started?
It's not easy, right? Obviously, everything in your life, you're having to figure out how to do a different way. But yeah, I think I've gotten into a little bit of a groove of figuring out how to be creative with like different creative groups that, whether it's theater online or improv online with other people or writing and creating my own projects and trying to get those things off the floor. You do self-tape auditions now, everything for the most part self-tape, or it's like a Zoom audition. So just doing all those things and kind of, life finds a way, you figure it out.
At what age did you decide that you wanted to be an actor?
Oh man, I think since I was probably a kid, but I think like since I was a kid, probably like in middle school, man, like really, really young, pretty young. When I knew like for sure that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What obstacles did you have to overcome in life as well as being in an entertainment industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think poverty is probably one of them. Yeah, I grew up pretty not underprivileged, single mother, and that was something to overcome a lot. I think that's a huge thing. Being other, I'm like multicultural. I'm like Mexican American. I've got I speak Spanish fluently, and I think in Hollywood, if they can't find a box for you, if you don't fit like the box, then you have to create your own. And it's hard to do that because, I audition for things and then some people will tell me, oh, you're too white for this, or I'll audition for other things. They go, you're not white enough. And I'm just like, I don't really know what the hell that means or why that should matter. Unless it, when they're asking me to speak Spanish and I speak Spanish fluently and I know what my background is and they're saying, oh, you're not Mexican enough. I'm like, I don't know what the hell that means. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know, our representation, I think, is a huge problem in Hollywood in the way that for the longest time you've had a small group of people, white men essentially creating these roles without having any real context for a lot of the things that they're talking about. And that's slowly getting better. We're starting to tell our own stories and stuff like that. But that's a big obstacle, definitely.
So, in your perspective, how can we branch more minorities in the entertainment field?
Dude, I think it's going to come down to us having to start creating more of our own stuff. I think like part of the pandemic situation and part of me being stuck here and realizing, well, I've only got myself as a resource, and it kind of put that into my head of pandemic or no pandemic, I should start looking at myself like I'm the resource, like I'm the one that has to be making these things. And I think as you do that, you start to establish diversity within your own work, little by little, by telling your own stories. I think that helps. I was in a panel with a lot of Latino actors for SAG-AFTRA. They had a panel, and we were talking about this stuff, and it was kind of clear that we don't want to just be included, just like forced into projects, like, oh, we have to meet so many minorities in this project or whatever. And it feels like it's a checkbox and it's really annoying, man. We want to be in good projects that tell universal stories and then have our faces representing those things. People that look like you and I, there's no reason why we can't tell those stories. You know what I'm saying? And I really think that as we start getting behind the camera more and start producing more of our own content, we start inevitably like changing how people view us because we're representing ourselves the way we want to be seen.
Now you started a film called Once. What inspired that, and what does it mean to you that you can bring more positive stories on your platform?
Man, the pandemic kind of, I inspired like the actual story. Whitney Moore, who is in a film called House of Demons that's on Amazon Prime with me. It's like a horror thriller. She's in it with me, and we're all part of like a similar like artistic community. She did a thing where she emailed us at the beginning of the pandemic, and she said, hey, whoever wants to be involved, let me know. I'm going to assign each one of you a letter of the alphabet. to make a short film, and we can have like a little short film festival for us as artists, just to do something, and we don't feel super trapped or you know, that we don't have an outlet for our artistic abilities and stuff during the pandemic. So that's kind of what was the inception of me actually getting my gears moving then, and really doing something to have some kind of deadline. And so we did that, yeah, like months ago, and a while ago. This was back like in May or something, and you know, I finally finished all this stuff recently, doing the sound and everything. But that's kind of where it came from. It came from this idea of the frustration of being stuck here and being like, how do I do what I love without an entire crew? And I would tell myself that before. So, well, the thing about acting is that you need a whole crew, and you need this, and you need that, and I think the pandemic showing us that we can do a whole lot more than we thought we could with our own resources. And so, the positivity. Yeah, my bad. The positivity thing that you're talking about is, I made this short film, and I didn't even think that it was about mental health. I didn't think about that in my head when I was making it, but it is about mental health, and a lot of people have pointed that out to me, and they've said, that was a big thing for them to have that kind of platform and talk about it, where it doesn't have to be a weird thing. You know, if you break your arm, it's not weird to go to the doctor. So if you have like trauma, or if we have like stuff going on in our head that's way more complicated, then we shouldn't feel like that's a weird thing that people go to therapists and talk to them. So I included an element of that in the short, and I think a lot of people are resonating. It's resonating with a lot of people for that reason. So, you know, I think that's important.
What advice can you give people that are in the entertainment field that are kind of struggling to find their purpose and passion, especially during this time?
Well, I think you have to. I think that I've been seeing a lot of people do is reevaluate what they're doing and why they're doing it. I think for me, I could say that storytelling is something that I never realized how important it is for me as a human being. Like, that's part of who I am and how I live in the world. And I think that I hope people evaluate what stories they want to tell, and if they want to do it, because it's a really tough industry. And I think that if you don't have like a real voice inside, that a real thing to express, and you find passion in doing other things, then I don't think there's anything wrong with being like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. You know, that's totally fine. I think being honest with yourself about the things that you want to do with your life, and what you want to put out into the world, and how you make the world a better place. If you ask me, my ability to create art and my ability to acting has taught me to be as honest as I can with myself. And acting has taught me honesty in my day-to-day life, and has like kind of reinforced that. And so when I'm telling stories, I want them to be honest. And to me, I think that's how I think art can make the world a better place. And I want to keep doing that. So for other artists, finding your voice, strengthening your voice, really paying attention to the things that make your heart sing when you're watching a movie, when you go, yeah, that's important to me. That's what I liked about it. The more specific you can get about the way you view art in anything. I'm talking about anything. It doesn't matter, whether it's music, whether it's a online play, a short film that you watched, a music video, whatever it is. There's art all around us, and every single person during this pandemic, we've been glued to the TV, man. We've been watching Netflix, we've been watching Hulu, we're watching all this stuff. We're turning to artists, you know, during this time, and it's important to, as an artist, to observe what your fellow artists are doing and start kind of piecing it together and being like, oh, that's important to me. I like that. Or being like, there's a giant hole here that there's not enough diversity, and I want to fill that. And then really kind of figuring out how to do that. I think that's what I would recommend to people. And you got to keep your head up, man. You got to let yourself have the moments of being down on yourself and being kind of like, man, like, I'm just not feeling it today. Something's not right. You don't have to force it, you know, but it's walking the line there, you know, knowing when to pick yourself up and go, okay, I don't have time to think. I got to do right now. And sometimes you have to sit down and think and slow down a little bit. So that's what I would recommend.
So, Jeff, what does a regular day look like for you as far as being a director?
As far as being a director, it looks like just being a human, really. I mean, I just kind of watch TV. You know, I eat my breakfast and my food. You know, I just started directing, so that was like my first kind of real. I've directed some theater before. I did an online play festival that I directed with Company of Angels. It was a short play fest that we did, and I directed a play in that, and I acted in one. And I directed a couple things in my life. But now it's like a different part of my brain is activated. So when I watch things, I'm more paying attention to how everything fits as a whole into the storytelling. Whereas before I would look at acting as the number one thing. And now I'm looking at both of the things. Like, how does the acting help the directing? How does the directing help the acting? How does all that help tell the story? So my brain has kind of changed in the way that I'm absorbing art right now, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I so far I'm just looking to direct my own stuff and things that I come up with ideas for, that I have a very clear idea, but I would like to start working with other people in that capacity to start directing other people's things. That'd be pretty cool.
So how did you stay true to your identity? Because as we all know, the entertainment field has a big perception in itself.
Dude, is I don't know, dude. I think here's the thing. So there's the idea of there's only one of us. Like, at the end of the day, there's only one of us, right? And I think because of that, I find it so important to find out and be as honest as I can about who I am and the things that I love and the things that I want to see in the world. I have to maintain that. And it's really hard, man, because when you become someone that's really aware of yourself and like you are who you are, you can always grow as a person, obviously. And you don't want to rub people the wrong way. When you're like really like straightforward person and you're an honest person, I think a lot of times people can take that and get offended by it. They can think like, oh, what does this guy think? Like, and I hope at the end of the day, I'm not trying to step on anyone's feet. I'm just trying to be myself. And I think the way that I've kind of done it is really, I do the child test. It's like the little kid version of myself. And I always try to think of the little kid version of myself, seeing me as an adult and being like, oh, that guy's cool. Or like, I approve of that. And obviously I have my adult glasses now and I've seen the world and I've experienced a lot more, but there's a purity that I think that we all have, that like kind of inner kid that we all have. And I think that if that little kid can look up to me and say like, hey, I like what they're doing. I like that. And I look to that as a resource, really. I really do. It sounds stupid, but it's just true, man. It's important to me. It's a thing that I've over the years I've kind of done that. So it's a little kid test. Check in with myself and be like, are you being fake? Are you being real to yourself? Are you full of crap right now? Are you trying to impress someone? If I feel like I'm trying to impress people, man, it's like a red flag in my head. I go, that's not for me. This isn't for me. I'm someone that I'm not because I'm trying to fall into someone else's vision of me. And that's bullcrap. At the end of the day, when you look in the mirror, you should be happy with what you see. Because at the end of the day, the only person you have to answer to as far as who likes you is you. So that's another thing that I think about a lot. I don't know. I try to always maintain that mentality of like, and I'm always working on myself. I'm improving myself, whether it's fitness or whether it's like, I go to therapy from time to time. I'm trying to be a better person, but within that, there's still a core to me that I go like, I want to be true to that core all the time. And I hope through my art, other people get the confidence to do that for themselves too.
So we're breaking into the field. How did you do that? And was it difficult for you at one point in time?
Difficult. Let's see. I think kind of what we're talking about right now, I think what was difficult is when you don't care, there's that weird mentality when you don't care, it's easy, right? It's just like, you can just walk through, like, well, whatever, I don't care. If this person doesn't like me or I don't get that job, I don't care. I still have my comfort or my whatever going on. The challenging thing has been times where I have tried to I found myself being like asking for things or being like needy or being like God, I don't even know how to describe it, like kind of weaselly, you know, like not being true to me, but trying to be like, hey man, like, can you hook it up? Can you hook it up? Like that weird kind of like energy that you get sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a challenge to be able to be like, just be confident that what you're doing is good and what you're doing is okay. And you can only approach every problem in your life from where you're at. You can't go like, oh, well, 10 years from now, I'm going to be this kind of person. And I'm going to do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just go from now. And that's been a challenge. That's been a challenge. And I'm getting a lot better at it, saying no to things, being like, I don't have to impress this person. I don't have to do that. And somehow finding a balance of like, you know, maintaining that positivity. So that I think that's been a challenge.
Understandable. What was your favorite moment with being an actor? Or let me ask you this. Who's your favorite celebrity that you've been around or you talk with or you engage with?
Man, of the people that I've talked to, you know, off the top of my head, the person that comes to it, it's kind of one of those moments. I was on Criminal Minds Beyond Borders, and I had a scene with Gary Sinise.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up watching him in movies my whole life. Like I'd seen him in so much stuff. I think he's a phenomenal actor, man. And we had this scene. And it was really cool. I was going in, man. Like I finally got to like, I didn't have to hold back. I got to go for it, man. And I really did. And the director said, you know, we got that take. Do whatever take you want to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. And I did my version of it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do my version. Like, that was the tame version. I'm going to do like the version that I want to do. And then the version that I did was the one that made it in the TV show. That was super cool. I was like, wow, man, those were my choices. That was like my instinct was, and they were like, yes, we love that. That was like a really cool thing because then I got to trust myself on a higher level of my acting ability to be like, oh yeah, I belong in this space and belong. When you're a minority in this country, you know, that feeling of belonging is hard, man. It's really hard. You always feel like you're an imposter. Every time you're in the room, you're like, do I belong here? Should I be here? You know, there's always that weird thing that we carry with us because of the discrimination that there is in this country. And I think that was one of those times where I was like, no, man, I'm an artist and I'm good at what I do. And I was sitting there trying to think of what to say to Gary Sinise after. I was like, I want to go up to him. I don't want to scare him off. I don't want to say something weird. And I'm sitting there thinking about how I'm going to approach him. And then he walks up to me.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man. He's like, that was some really good work. He's like, you gotta stick to this, man. You gotta stay doing this because that was really solid work. And I just it was crazy, man. It was like the little kid version thing where I was like, dude, if little kid Jeff knew that this happened, holy crap! Like, it was kind of moment. That to me was like it stuck out to me as something really important in my career, in like my life, like life goal kind of thing. Yeah, and that's one of my favorite acting moments, and coincidentally, a moment where I talked to someone that I admired a lot.
Nice. And my last question is, what words of advice can you give people about just staying true to themselves, as well as going towards their dreams?
Going towards your dreams. I really think that the advice I can give everyone is to check your ego. Everyone check your ego. And again, like I think the ego activates when you care what's happening on the outside versus what's happening on the inside. I think your heart is connected, in my honest opinion. I know it sounds cheesy, man, but I think your heart, your spirit, whatever you want to call it, is connected to your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
There's some kind of connection there. There's a reason why we feel callings. There's a reason why we feel that, oh, I want to do this thing. It's important. And I think it's important for the world. There's a reason why you have that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think like checking your ego helps you stay on track. Checking your ego will help you stay away from being like, oh, I'm going to keep doing this thing because I'm getting more likes when I do this thing, but you don't feel good doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really think that that's kind of something that I'd recommend. Like, be aware of when your ego's coming in and it's affecting your true self. Your true self is like, no, I feel content and I feel good about the things that I'm doing. And the ego will be like, no, but what if you can get more? And like, what if you could do this? And what do you know? And then you start falling into these weird ideas of like, do I actually want this thing, or am I just saying that I want it because someone else told me that I want it? You know. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of stuff that's important to me. Just, check your ego, man. Everyone's got it. I've got it. Everyone's got that. And I think everyone would really benefit from stepping back a second and being like, that's coming from my ego. And that has nothing to do with confidence. Being a confident person is not being a cocky person. They're different things. Mm-hmm. One of them is coming from a place of confidence. To me, is you're sharing something with the world. You're being like present, and cockiness is like, you want something. You're like trying to force yourself on people. You're trying to be like, well, here I am, and look at me. And it's, hey, at the end of the day, it's not about you, dude. It's crazy. I'm an actor, and it's like not about me. When I'm on set, it's not about me. It's about the story. The story and the it's way bigger than me. So if you have a bigger purpose in mind, then that helps, man. That helps big time.
And I'm going to ask you, this is my last question. This is something personal to me. You have mentioned that you went to therapy for some time. I was thinking about going to therapy because my brother had actually killed himself not too long ago. Does that actually work, just for me as well as my viewers? Because a lot of my viewers are going through a lot right now, as well as myself. So just tell me a little bit about, your experience with being in therapy, and does it actually work?
Well, okay, so here's the thing, man. And, I think before I started therapy, this is the thing. I used to be like, oh, I don't go to therapy because I have friends that I can talk to and I can tell them things and they'll give me advice. And I have, I got it under control. What works about a therapist is that they're not your friend. They have years of training to identify habits and to break them down. So when you say, I do this thing, and they ask you questions and you start examining yourself, you're doing it in front of someone that is looking at it objectively. They're not seeing you, oh, you're the guy that one time you got a beer with me and or you like protected me that one time, or we got in a fight that one time. The therapist isn't putting what they think you should be doing on you. They're trying to help you find what you should be doing and how you function as a person at the highest level. That's what happens, right? And so when you have these suicidal thoughts, when you have those thoughts, because I have had them before, and therapy has helped me. But the thing about therapy is that it's hard work, man. It's like going to the gym. You're going to be super sore sometimes. You might even, if you overexert yourself, you might pull something. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I think therapy helps you sort your thoughts. It really helps you start figuring out what's going on inside, and like it helps you deal with the ego. It helps you deal with, what do I really want in life? It really makes you start asking these questions, and I'm night and day a different person. I'm a different person. I'm trying, and for me, acting and this stuff, it helps me as an artist too, because now I'm telling stories not just from like my point of view all the time. It's about understanding how people work. Understanding how your own brain works, and you start identifying your habits. And people think, if I go to the gym once a week and I'm working out so hard I can barely move my arms, it's like, that's good, I guess, but you'd probably be better off going 3 times a week. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with your mind. You're trying to talk to these people and you're trying to figure out your little habits so that you can start tweaking things little by little. By little, man. Be aware. When you start feeling like the depression cycle, you start feeling it creep up. And right now, man, during this quarantine thing, anything's triggering people. Anything. You see the news and your body shuts down, and you go like, man, I don't want to look at it. I don't want to deal with it. Whatever, right? And it affects your functionality. It affects your diet. It affects everything around you. So you start figuring out habits, and you go, okay, when I feel overwhelmed, I do X. Mm-hmm. Then you can start modifying that. You go, oh, when I feel overwhelmed, my instinct, because my body tells me do X. Mm-hmm. I don't have to do that. When I want to just lay down and go to sleep, instead I'll counteract that. I'll go, I'm going to insert a thought, and I'm going to go for a walk. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do it. My body's saying, hey, don't go for a walk. Sit in your bed, cry, sit there. and you go, okay, no, I'm going to reprogram. So it's moments that you start realizing the effects of the therapy. You start realizing in your relationships with other people how you're engaging, and you start becoming a more humane people towards other people. Because you're not seeing other people like, oh, that person's being cruel to me, or they're being mean to me. You start observing their traumas, and you start going like, damn, dude, they're dealing with something, man, and they don't know how to express it. And that to me, man, it's a life changer, man. It really is something super special, man. And I wish more people would look at it like that, and they wouldn't see it as like, oh no, there's something wrong with you. It's just like, no, man, no, dude. You know, if you go to the gym, you don't think there's something wrong with the person next to you. They're trying to improve themselves, dude. That's all it is, man. And I really, the stigma to me is bull crap. And if you can find help, if you can find someone to talk to, and and that's a vetting process, you're going to find someone that you feel comfortable with. When you find someone that you think understands what you're going through, and they can help you understand yourself, I can't recommend it enough, man. I really can't.
Yeah, man. Thank you for the encouraging words. Thank you for the advice. I definitely want to have you on my show in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to talk to your publicist about that if you are free. Definitely, before I let you go, where can we find your work?
You can. So my short film right now, once it's on YouTube, you can go to my my Instagram. My Instagram is I am Jeff Torres. You can go there, or you can go to my Twitter. On my Instagram, I have a link to the YouTube link to my short film, and there's also, it's on IGTV, so you can watch it there. You can share it, or you can comment, whatever. Reach out to me. That's where, my Instagram mainly is where I keep up to date with people and telling what projects I have going on. But other than that, I mean, you just watch. I think on my IMDb, you can see what projects I have coming up and stuff like that, and keep tabs that way also.
Amen. Thank you again, and we'll talk soon, my friend.
Hey, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it, dude.
Yes, sir. All right, now.
Take care, man.
Yes, sir. You too.